Hey, do you think it would be possible to have everybody just type their name and like who they're with, or maybe their email or contact in the chat, so that when people hop on, if they don't know who someone is, they can just refer to that?
I love that, Denise, because that
Thank
way,
you.
to your point, it's excellent, because if someone wants to reach out, for instance, to Gateway, hey, Denise is right there, and they know who you are and who you're with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if everyone
Thank
can
you.
drop their name, their agency, and even more important, like most importantly, your contact information. So that way, any one of our collaborators online in this meeting right now can reach out to you if their services are intersecting with what you're offering.
Yeah, please include your agency for the minutes. That helps. That actually takes the longest, is getting the attendees and who they're with correct on the minutes. Looks like everybody's doing that anyway, so.
Dan, will you hit record for me really quick?
I actually did about a minute ago.
Oh, perfect. See, we're both Leos, you can tell. All right, so the survey I have pulled up, can everyone see my screen? All right, perfect.
Yes.
And if everyone, as you're coming on, please mute your microphone unless you have the floor. There's only 5 questions that the survey asked, and thank you for everyone that did respond. Your feedback is always very appreciated. And I want to keep it short and condensed, but I still want to grab enough quality content for us to discuss, and as a springboard for not only this meeting, but for the direction of the last 6 months of this fiscal year. Our fiscal year goes until June 30th. So first question is, how should the ROSC Council prioritize the current initiatives? And I asked people to rank them 1 to 5, 1 being the high priority and 5 being the lowest priority for the fiscal year. So this is a pictorial or a graph of the feedback. So the 5 I put out there were the family program we've been discussing, the Recovery Cafe, or you've heard it, the terminology used, Recovery Community Organization. And also there's going to be another one, Recovery Community Center. Now, the biggest difference between the 3 is one's a standalone, which is the RCO, Recovery Community Organization. The other 2 have a physical partner, much like how the ROSC is operating now, with Chestnut being the physical partner. And then the 3rd initiative is the People's Lived Experience, Retainment and Recruitment, Alumni Network, and then other. Now, when I was looking at the other responses, I see that there's a bar here and a CO1, but I didn't see any actual text to that. So if anyone did say, or if there's anything else that's not highlighted on here that we're not already doing or actively involved with or bringing back, please let me know. Either an email or I'll open this discussion up very shortly. So here's also, and I can send this out to whomever. I was going to actually send this with the agenda yesterday, but thankfully we had the day out to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King. He should be recognized all year round and in your hearts in all the actions you do. At least there's one day designated for all the hard work that he started, spearheaded, and hopefully will carry through in our racial diversity and treatment. All right, so the second question, so sorry, let me go back. So the biggest takeaway from this first one is people lived experience, the retainment and recruitment, bring them back to the table, keep them at the table. That was our biggest feedback from the community that wanted to really spearheaded this initiative. We did have 14 total responses. The Recovery Cafe was second, then the family program, then the alumni network, and then again, if there's something else, please reach out to me. So, in the next question, and this will be addressed on the feedback in just shortly. What the ROSC is doing well. Look at those beautiful colors. So I put out there like marketing communications, meeting time and cadence, newsletter, activity and event offerings. And I purposely put out there reducing substance dependency. These are, for me, personally speaking, we need some evidence-based assessments and testing going on in order to even, quantify that statement. And so I put that out there to really bring to our awareness that, it's going to be low because we have nothing to really judge or to test that question about against, no data. And so that's something that I really want to personally start honing in on, is collecting data of like what is working, what isn't. Theoretically, we could say a lot of passionate things and everything is very, very well and sound. But at the end of the day, we also need to know what is, evidence-based that's working and that we keep replicating to hopefully, ideally reduce substance dependency in McLean County and prove that we are. Diversity on the council, we have, good support groups, human service connection, social media. And here's another one that was low, and I put on there as well, psychoeducation and webinars. Because I know especially with the behavioral health work group, they happened to launch right around the same time that COVID really hit our landscape. And so we were developing some psychoeducational webinars about child abuse, neglect, intimate partner violence, relationships and recovery, things along those lines. And so, again, I'd like to bring our attention back to bring some more psychoeducational seminars, workshops, speakers to the table. And then we have also had engaging speakers within that realm and in other areas. So after these first two questions, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I want to open up the floor to see what's some of the feedback regarding those two. And it's open-ended.
Angie, this is meant to be rhetorical, but and I know like I should know this, but I'm just kind of drawing a blank. Like what, and it's not meant to be like, anyways, what exactly do we want to get out of ROSC for like 2022? Like what exactly is it that we want? So then that would help me, like as I was looking at that data, like I thought it was really good information, especially like what are we doing well? But then I was thinking like the things that like we weren't necessarily doing are those things that like we need to do, or it's okay not to do them. So I'm just like, what do we want to get out of 2022 is my question or thought to like help me kind of think about then like what would be some of those next steps.
Oh, and I did not plant Amy in this discussion. I am not feeding her, but this is a perfect segue. And so that's why I put in that last question. I want to know the communities, how do you define success in the ROSC? And so from that feedback, I figured that would be the springboard into the discussion and like, what do we see the rest of this year? And then even the latter part of 2022. So ideally we want to develop a recovery community cafe or center. That's the deliverable at the end of our grant that we receive the approval for our grant on an annual basis. So the ROSC isn't approved at a 5-year basis or anything like that. It's an annual approval process. And at the end, each year is the actualization of a recovery community organization. And so ideally, we're always striving towards that. I think this is probably the first year we're the closest to having a branch of like in the form of a recovery community cafe, or excuse me, a recovery cafe or recovery community center, where Chesa would stay the fiscal partner, much like the ROSC. But that's something that we are currently meeting with other entities to bring that to fruition.
I just
so Amy, to answer your, go ahead.
Sorry. Were you going to finish point? I was just going to add something about the sober cafe.
Oh, just really quick. So Amy, to answer your question in a very scenic route, that yes, I want to see how everyone's operationally defining success and the ROSC. And then from there, I was picking some feelers out and then opening up that discussion. How do we define and what do we want to accomplish in the ROSC as community members with the buy-in?
Can I jump in real fast?
Yeah.
I think that visibility this year should be on our agenda because reducing the stigma, it's like, it's hard to do and it's a slow process, but I think that like having, community inclusive events and stuff, I don't really know exactly how it would look, but in my mind, like if we're outside somewhere where they drive past and they see what we're doing and stuff, and we have people in long-term recovery that like, that show that, hey, we're not the bad people that you think that we are. Like, this is what we're doing and this is how we've grown and changed in recovery, so that people aren't looking at us like, because I mean, you guys know that I get houses and people don't seem to like addicts moving in next door to them. They think something awful all the time, and we have to kind of fix that mentality. And so it takes a bit of work, but I think that, you know, visibility and doing things with the community would be a really good idea for us to put on the agenda for this year.
I agree, Ethan. I think that awareness education is something since the beginning we set out to do. I do want to kind of make everybody aware that there's a project going on that's actually through the McLean County Fatherhood Coalition, and part of their grant is to put a program together to reduce stigma by educating the general community about substance use disorder, alcohol use disorder, mental health. Toy and I have been working with their leadership over there to put together, and yeah, Dorothy's on the call. I don't want to put you on the spot, Dorothy. I don't know if you want to speak to this or you want me to keep going since it's.
What am I speaking to?
Well, I was just going to explain how we are kind of partnering together, the ROSC and the Fatherhood Coalition, to put on an education campaign about substance use disorder that would include a panel of, different types of people in recovery, different, recovery paths and experiences, kind of an educational session from a clinical standpoint, discussing addiction as a disease, trying to help people understand what's going on in the brain and how the symptoms they see from their loved ones are, a big part of the brain being hijacked. And then a third component would be like a speaker testimonial. So that's going on like in different stages throughout 2022. So, rather than duplicate the same work, we figured it was a good idea to kind of partner up on that. So Ethan, that's something, we can get you looped in on too if you're interested. The other thing I was going to add earlier about the Sober Cafe, that's something originally that I think we figured would be like 3 to 5 years out, kind of like Angie was saying, sort of big, deliverable near the end of the, when we get towards the transition from ROSC to RCO. It's come on the radar a lot quicker than we expected. So if you're seeing a lot of stuff about Sober Cafe and wondering, a big part of that is because Kat Hayes, who's on this call, also is helping Chestnut represent, basically Angie, myself, Joan, and Kat connect with an organization called We Bloom, who has experience setting up these sober cafes kind of they have like a turnkey operation. They've done it with at least 10 in Indiana and Midwest locations. So they kind of have a model set up. That's sort of allowed that sober cafe idea to accelerate is just what I wanted to add for some context for people who might be wondering.
Thank you, Dan. And yeah, after I go over the rest of the survey results, I do have also basically a current ROSC activity, what's going on, and going into some of the new, like 1 or 2 work groups or initiatives that we're bringing back, not only based on the survey results, but some things that we've been working on, for instance, the racial diversity and recovery, and then Smart Recovery is relaunching, and LGBTQ group is relaunching. So things along those lines. So that's what's going good. And this survey results will go out with the meeting minutes. So it's also in written. Let me see. So here's the one I really want to hone in on. How do you define ROSC success? So we've all kind of alluded to this in general with the discussion already. So some of the responses are, I think we should discuss this more in depth, but one thing that would scream success is changing the stigma. Totally agree. And that's another big reason why we want to bring the behavioral health work group back, because that was really one of the groups amongst all of them. But one of the core tenets is reducing or eradicating the stigma. And then this one, let me go back to the first one. I don't want to jump around. People participate in the meetings, deliverables that are positively impacting the community. ROSC, amazing. Survivor, yes. So there's some good feedback. Advance it towards the RCO. So that's another reason to launch the initiative. This one I wasn't sure about, changing the opportunities to help the recovering community stay sober with healthy activities. I think we're doing a pretty good job, and I don't know if that's what that statement's saying, is that we're offering a whole milieu of different, recovery opportunities from, artistic to creative to cerebral to, analytical, things along those lines. And now this is creating a supportive group of people that anyone could feel comfortable around in order to be vulnerable and grow. Something that's interesting about that, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. Humanistic approach, lead out with an empathetic foot. And I find interesting because there's a support group for a Wiccan support group or pagan support group that's been requested. And so in order to create the space to where everyone feels seen and heard, there's also going to be that other side where it's like, well, that goes against my own beliefs. I don't want that in this brick and mortar where I go. So I just find that it is an interesting balancing act, which I know I'm speaking to the choir about this, trying to, afford that space where everyone feels seen and heard. There's going to be a lot of times where there's other people that aren't going to feel seen and heard. And it's always walking and, balancing that with that empathetic lead. Let me go ahead and are there any, that was a survey. Are there any comments or continued dialogue while I pull up the current activity that we're doing and relaunching?
I know Kat's had her hand up for a bit.
Yeah.
The big thing I was just going to speak to was Ethan's question. Part of what we're looking at doing is whether it's Recovery Cafe, Recovery Community Center, or RCO. The big thing is what it seems Chestnut is wanting to do, and talking with Angie, Joan, and Dan, is we're wanting that physical space because it's not just a place for people to go, but it also puts a public face on recovery within the community. And it's like right there within the heart of the community, community that's like, hey, we're here, recovery is possible. And part of what's happening that is, Angie, do you mind if I mention the 2 different work groups we talked about?
I'm about to in the next.
Okay, then I will let you launch into
Perfect
that.
segue again. Look at this. I didn't plan anyone, I promise. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. Thank you, Kat.
I'm sorry, and then Barb has her hand up too, Angie.
Yeah, I just had a quick question and I just lost my notes, but the fatherhood, okay, I believe it was, you called it where are my notes? The Fatherhood Coalition? Is that what that was?
McLean.
Yeah, is that something just here in McLean County or is it just local?
Yeah, Dorothy, do you mind speaking?
No, I can speak to that. No, we have a fatherhood coalition in Rockford and Winnebago County, and we're also developing one in the Chicago area.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Perfect. And then Kat, to your point about not only putting a face and a name to recovery, we need to eliminate that's taboo, that more people are affected by addiction, substance dependency, mental health afflictions, intersections, dual diagnosis, undiagnosed, things along those lines. And that it's really more people are suffering. A lot of people, I would say, are still suffering in silence because of the stigma. That if we can put a face to it, that hey, it's more common. It's not a taboo topic so much anymore. The comfort level can increase to become vulnerable to heal. All right, so here's a current activity. So I'm not trying to read word for word. I want to give a high level view of, we meet every month and we give some updates, but here's like the ins and outs of what's going on. And if you want to find more details or get involved with any of these separate initiatives, please feel free to reach out to me, Dan, or whomever. And then at the bottom of this are the couple of work groups that we want to either bring back or launch. And Ethan, to the point earlier, how you stated that you would be interested in the recruitment and retainment There's a work group that Kat will be spearheading that you can join. That's perfect. So one of the first initiatives is the Family and Recovery Work Group. We started discussing this, I think, back really for a while, but really it was October, November. We've had a couple of meetings about it. We're still going to pick that up, but we think since the community, the feedback on the survey, this is still going to be taking place, but probably more so towards March. And we're going to really hone in on the recruitment and retainment of people with lived experience coming back to the table or staying at the table. And then also the recovery community organization or cafe or center. So here's also the McLean County Fatherhood Coalition that Dan is involved with. Spirituality work group. We have a 12-step outreach and recruitment going on. Sober recreation. Faces and Voices statewide stigma reduction campaign. And Recovery Relics, that's our quarterly newsletter. The Reentry Council. I highly encourage you to jump on their Friday, third Friday of the month, 1 to 2:30. And I highly encourage you to jump out, reach out to me for the Zoom code. I can ask Kara Kirk to add you to the listserv. But here we're trying to spearhead different initiatives to not only reduce and eradicate that stigma, there needs to be some more transitional services when people are acclimating, either back to their community or from a different community, from either incarceration or detention or jail. And, sometimes people are coming and they don't even have a driver's license or anything. There has to be a humane transitional process. And that's just a start. And that's just a high level of what the Reentry Council is trying to do. Spearhead this effort with task. Thank you, Toy. Toy Beasley's on this call. Labyrinth House, Kara Kirk, Illinois State University. That's Dr. Dawn Beichner. And the Bloomington Library. Thank you, Michelle. She's on the call. Her and Colleen are active participants as well. And Prairie State Legal Services. Cecilia, thank you for being on the call. And GayNet's part of that initiative as well. So there's some focus groups and problem solving court. I am on the problem solving court and now recovery court. We've recently merged board. So we are trying to relaunch the problem solving court backpack initiative to help with this transition. So this is relaunching in February. I spoke to this a moment ago, Racial Diversity and Recovery Work Group. And then there's also a CPRS, Heartland College Certification. The ROSC will offer financial support. I do not say a scholarship, because we're not getting the pro quid quo, but I'll offer, not me personally, the state, the ROSC grant, some financial support for your educational goals. And honestly, this, I'm going to be very clear that this is towards people with lived experience. And if you're a family member, you are also someone with lived experience. You don't have to be the one directly afflicted. All right, Smart Recovery is coming back Sundays at 10 a.m., relaunching February 20th. And then the LGBTQ support group, that's going to relaunch Fridays at 5:30, starting February 18th. There's going to be flyers coming out for all of these. This is just a verbal heads up. And then we have the YouTube collaborations, special events. And here are the work groups. Now, Kat, if you would like to speak to the two groups, the recruitment and retainment. This is being birthed out of the survey data and responses, and the recovery communicate, not really, community center or cafe. Kat Hayes has graciously asked and actually stepped up to the plate to spearhead these two focus groups. Because a lot of her work with AmeriCorps and for Chestnut is not only doing research on what the community is needing or wanting in a recovery community cafe or center, but also some recruitment and retainment for AmeriCorps. So it makes sense for her to spearhead both of these groups. So I will stop sharing for a second and then open up the discussion about the launch of the two new work groups.
Guess to lead off, does anybody have any specific questions, or you want me to give a spiel and then people can ask questions?
Can you do the spiel?
Yeah, so since starting back in September, I have been working for the past almost 4 months doing the research on recovery community organizations recovery cafes, which led me to the Recovery Cafe National Model, along with learning about recovery community centers. And one of my big recommendations going forward as Chestnut and the ROSC Council are deciding, like, what do we want to do, is pulling in people from the recovery community to learn, like, hey, this is going to be your organization. What do you guys want to see for either an RCO, an RCC, or a recovery cafe? I'm also going to see about putting together a presentation to do just kind of a little bit of education for people on what I've researched, and just give you a little bit of an idea, not the whole thing, but enough for a working idea. And with that, the big thing they stress is getting different people to the table for going ahead and getting involved with the running of the organization, because the big goal is to get it to be community driven, and that is both the general community and also the recovery community. So if there are people on the council, you know anybody who would be interested, we need champions for the cause. We need people who are going to back it and say, I will step up and do it. And that'll probably be part of the recruitment, participation, and retention, is getting people involved. And in that process, you get more people involved. That will naturally lead to what Ethan was talking about, getting, kind of a face on things, not just getting people involved from the recovery community, but also pulling people from the general community and trying to get everybody to work together towards this.
Part of that includes some of the 12-step community who were around for previous recovery centers. Like there was a sober bar called Promises about 20 years ago. And so we have names, about 4 or 5 people that have expressed interest in that, who kind of have some lessons learned and have wanted to start something similar, but haven't had the funding. So we kind of have hopefully a good marriage of that between people already interested in within the recovery community, plus the ROSC Council.
I'm curious about the what we're talking about right now, the We Bloom, or the Recovery Cafe, I think you said it was.
Yes.
Yes. Is
So
it kind of like a franchise, sort of?
Okay, so the Recovery Cafe model is based off a concept that was started in Seattle. In 2016, they launched their national network. And right now there are over 37 locations for Recovery Cafe within different communities across the US. And there's one now in Canada. They do different cohort launches through the year. We Bloom is the overarching organization up in Indianapolis, who is the Midwest region catalyst. I've been in contact with them, learning more about what their process is. I've done meetings with Joan, Angi, and we've got one upcoming that Dan will be in on, for us to get a little bit more of the specific details of going with the Recovery Cafe model. But yeah, it's the best way to explain it is the Recovery Cafe it's like, oh, I want to start, a burger joint. Well, do I want to do McDonald's and have my own McDonald's, or do I want to go out and just have my own independent thing?
Exactly. And the Bloom would be already modeled, kind of have everything.
Yep.
It's sort of like a franchise, whereas
Yes.
I did my own, I owned a business before and I did my own thing. But there are other things like it out there that were franchised. So there's a lot to say about, as long as they have a good track record, they're doing well. They're on, no reason to kind of reinvent, I guess. Anyway, you can learn a lot about it. I was just kind of curious about.
Yeah, it's an approach.
process.
It doesn't specifically have to be the approach we take. And they are definitely supportive of the multiple pathways to recovery. Within their model, they've got it so it can be customized and tailored to what the community wants and needs. It's got a very easy setup for going ahead and doing partnerships with the different approaches to recovery, whether that's SMART, Celebrate Recovery, any of the 12-step programs. There's a way for them to work cohesively with that model. The other thing is, if that's what we did choose to go with, that could be set up under Chestnut as a program. And it would be, we could get in on the next cohort launch at some point this year if we want to move that swiftly. And it's just easy because everything has been figured out for best practices. We don't have to go through the trial and error process. They've done it for us.
That is key, and it saves a ton of time. I
Yeah,
will just say.
and
from
with that-
owning a business and starting from
With
scratch.
that, it can be transitioned into an RCO later on down the road.
Awesome.
So those are kind of some of the benefits of it.
Thanks. That's interesting. Really interesting. So I was just curious. Thanks.
All right, then I'm gonna go ahead and bring this back up. Thank you, Kat. And as usual, I'm not gonna volunteer anyone, but if anyone would like to be a part of any of these work groups, definitely reach out to me. We have and we're gonna keep it at these 4 this time, besides the behavioral health work group. I'm gonna figure out how to do that one. Amy, I'll reach out to you because I know you're a part of that one before. So right now we have the ROSC planning group that meets on Tuesdays. Oh, I should put bi-weekly. But it is bi-weekly. And I will send this out to the group as well. So you'll always have like this section, you will have like the call-in codes if you ever want to jump on, if you don't want to commit to something. And let me think that through about putting on a calendar so you'll know which Tuesday it is, especially if they're bi-weeklies. Racial diversity and recovery. Toy, Dorothy, I know Linda, we used to be a part of that. I don't see Natasha. I know we spoke to meeting back up on Wednesdays. I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment, but I'll reach out to you individually. I'm gonna have to do it on Tuesdays or Thursdays. So I'm not sure if that will work, but we could pick a day in February to relaunch it. And I'm open to whenever you want to, or whomever wants to be a part of this group. Again, that's racial diversity and recovery. Last year, oh, thank you, Wendy's here. She was she was on the panel. She's a panel speaker for us last year, along with Toy's wonderful wife. Very informative women, powerful women on the panelist discussion. But that was last year, and hopefully you'll be able to join again. And I will again put this out there if you want to be involved with that racial diversity and recovery, please let me know. And then the other group is the other 2 are the recruitment and retainment work group, recovery community center, cafe, and then also behavioral health group. So is there any questions? I know I went through this kind of fast, but I'm gonna send this
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a question. I have a statement. And I think it was part of your survey that you sent out. And one of the things that I like to see the ROSC do and myself to focus on is what can we do to get people in recovery that's not working in the field to be a part of this council? So there's a lot of people that are in recovery that work in the field, but what can we do to get people in recovery that's not in the field? And I know a lot of people in recovery, they're dealing with a lot of shame, guilt, nervousness, or whatever it may be, but what can we do to get them involved, get them to be a part of this council? I think that's so important if we can focus on that.
You know, Toy, you bring up a great point, because I remember once upon a time, I used to work at State Farm, and I would say that there was definitely more stigma with sharing with somebody. There's a lot of suffering in silence, let me put it that way. And so to your point though, there's a lot of sectors out there that don't necessarily encourage the transparency and authenticity to, show up with whatever you're dealing with, whatever is in your past, things along those lines. So I think that would be a great deliverable for the recruitment and retainment work group, is their marketing strategy and the different sectors. Thank you.
And that's, also where that recruitment retention work group is going to need people who are actively going to meetings and connected with the recovery community to get some of those people with lived experience that you're talking about, the people in the trenches, that, maybe don't have certifications, but they're working with people every day. And, that's been our goal since day one, is to get those people, retain them. We've had some, and then we kind of lose them. So yeah, the big key is not just getting them, but keeping them. Yeah, but that if you're somebody who's involved in 12-step or CR, one of the established programs here, fellowships, in this county, please consider being a part of that group.
And to both of your points, to Toy and Dan, I do invite this council to, bring a friend. If it's someone from another sector, someone that, is in the restaurant business, or someone that's, in the banking business, like, hey, you should check out what the ROSC Council is trying to do for McLean County, trying to make it healthier. And a healthier county impacts everybody. So with that being said, I do, to the council members here, bring someone or say, hey, check out this meeting. You can jump online. You don't have to leave the comfort of your home. You don't even have to turn on your camera. Just sit and just absorb, let it marinate. and I promise I won't, put anyone on the spot if they're new, and ask or volunteer.
I just think that this Zoom world spooks a lot of people.
Yes.
And, and if you tell them that you don't have to turn on your camera, you don't have to say anything, that does help.
It does. Or just like, I'm not going to ask anyone to stand up. I'm not going to I'm not going to be like, I want to turn on your camera.
Right.
No.
Right.
Because I know there's times I've been in a meeting with cameras. I'm like, no, don't anyone ask me to turn on this camera because you don't want me to right now.
Well, then, like I said, help reduce the stigma, because some of them may think that, what, I'm not one of them. They're not one of me. I don't feel comfortable being part of that group, and they are. We just got to how can we make them comfortable?
How do we, create that environment of inclusivity, even to the council meetings? Because I see some new names on here that, I'm not sure if they're sitting back like, okay, I don't know if I really want to say anything. Because I'm not used to this culture. I haven't been to this ROSC Council meeting, this setup before. I don't know who's new. I don't know where everyone's from, things along those lines. So Toy, I totally agree. And again, if you bring a friend, maybe I can throw in some, I don't know, not contribution, I'm drawing a blank, incentives. So if you bring a friend, tell them to put on their camera, turn off their camera, hey, see who comes, and you never know who you're talking to. I truly believe that it's about that personal touch. We can put flyers up everywhere, but I facilitate smart recovery. And I'll tell you, the more times when I actually talk to someone about smart recovery, I might see them in a room faster than if they saw a flyer. No offense when I say this, Michelle, the library. I was just about to say it. I was like, wait, let me give a disclaimer before I say that.
Michelle, can you explain your chat that you just added?
Sure. Leadership McLean County and the Multicultural Leadership Program, they have leaders on loan, and they can work on marketing. They can work on initiatives. They have some limited dollar amounts that they can contribute, but then also there has to be buy-in from the council. The money has to be pretty equal, but they have about, I would say, 6 months where you would have a group of 3 to 6 people dedicated to ROSC and your mission, whether it's coming up with strategies for marketing, working on different things like Ethan was talking about that could have exposure for the ROSC, finding you a location. I mean, there's just so many things that they could work on. And those people could be asked to be involved in the ROSC at that point, to add their 2 cents, their experience in their own business realms, that they could help.
So they're like consultants, basically, sounds like.
What's that?
They're like free consultants, basically.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, so I work on the MCLP class right now. And so like in our team, we've got 5 people, but they have a pretty diverse background, and they intentionally do that so that you're looking at different aspects of how to do that stuff. But we looked at, for like the Children's Protection Network, how do you connect with businesses so that they do like a matching fund donations? So we're looking at funding for them. But they're also trying to roll out a new program. And so how do you get individual people to donate? And then how do you get corporations to do matching donations? And so we've done stuff like, I put together a mailer for about 400 different addresses so they can do mail mergers. We're putting together videos for them so they can post stuff on Facebook. We put together themes and messages for marketing. So what you're getting is basically about 4 or 5 really smart people in the community that have a diverse section of backgrounds that will work for a nonprofit. And then they, as she said, with the matching funds, they do up to, I want to say like $750. I don't know. We're not using any funds for ours, but so if a Child Protection Network puts in $750 or something, then MCLP matches with $750.
And I am on the steering committee for Leadership McLean County, and Dorothy Davis is in the current class. And we, from my experience, like Night in a Car for Home Sweet Home was about, they earned about, what was it, $30,000 every year for Night in a Car. And last year they made $130,000 in that one night. And Leadership McLean County was the one who came up with the logo. They did a lot of marketing. They helped them get airtime. There's just so many things. And like Del said, it is a diverse group that from different agencies that will help you with all of the experience that they come with. So it's a great thing. We call it Leaders on Loan because we're loaning you leaders. And so I think either one is a great place to be using.
Thank you for sharing that. I had no idea about any of that. So they're just like volunteering on their own time, basically?
It's part of the requirements of their class. So they have to do well because they have to report on it at the end. That's part of their graduation is what the work that they do for you. And
it's worse than volunteer. We actually had to pay tuition to do free work for somebody else.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. I think both groups, and I, through the library, have worked with MCLP. I've been their contact person, and that was a great group to work with too.
Right, cool. Well, to just wrap it up conversational wise, and then I'll turn it over. So there are some new faces, they want to introduce themselves or just for open discussion. So I went over the survey results. Just want to really get a pulse from you council members and the community, and like, what is the direction of the ROSC, what you're feeling, what we're doing well, what we can use some improvement on. So we are going to bring back a couple of the groups, the Racial Diversity and Recovery, Smart Recovery, the LGBTQ support group. And again, that's not necessarily tied to addiction recovery, but that's for human connection in general. And then also we are going to launch a recruitment and retainment work group along with the Recovery Community Center work group. Kat will be spearheading both of those. And then from there, once we have a little bit more we have a couple more presentations and conversations with, like, for instance, We Bloom. we'll develop a strategic plan and some goals within that work group, marketing, the whole 9 yards, that will cascade those messages to the whole council. But after the meeting today, I will send to the council that survey, the results, and then also the ROSC activity, which I pulled up. That's the second sheet I pulled up. And then we are also going to start posting a 1-pager calendar of events, basically just monthly council meetings, hopefully on Facebook once we get it solidified for the rest of the year. But of like what speakers are coming up, things along those lines. So you can always offer feedback, content, anything, anytime. And the last thing, yeah, bring a friend. It doesn't, if you're passionate, if you're coming to the table, someone else may want to as well. And they definitely do not have to have their cameras on. And I will not ask anyone to put their cameras on. So other than that, thank you for all of your feedback. And if anyone is new on the call and would like to introduce themselves or, give a shout out to what services they have, if they're trying to do some mass marketing, please feel free. The floor is open.
I didn't get an agency for Samantha, Trisha, and then there's an L minor. I'm not sure who that is.
So I'm Trisha Lewis Thompson. I'm a ROSC coordinator for Macoupin County Public Health Department. So we're kind of a rural area. And, we struggle a little bit on trying to get things done because we don't have the resources in our area as much. So, and we just kind of wanted to see how you all were putting your stuff together and making it work, and, seeing what we could get out from you guys. And you guys have a lot of stuff. I mean, I was amazed by everything you have going on. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Trisha. And I did receive your email last week. So thank you for being able to jump on. And if you like, I know rural, that's one of our passion points where we know we're not getting there enough. We're not reaching the outskirts of our nucleus of Bloomington Normal, where a lot of the things happen. Because McLean County is the only demographic that this ROSC is covering. So I will add you to the email distribution list so you'll receive the newsletters, and then also any kind of Zoom link, because everything's going to be on Zoom until the COVID landscape definitely balances out. Absolutely. So that way we can add you, and that way people could jump on, at least have some kind of human connection.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. And thank you for letting me join.
Yeah. Bring a friend.
Well, that's what Lindsay and Elise are on here, and they are both from Macoupin County as well. So
what county is it?
Macoupin and Montgomery counties.
Okay.
So we do both counties. Yep.
Where is that?
Yeah.
Let's see. We have Litchfield. Have you heard of Litchfield?
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that's Montgomery County.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have Gillespie. That's in Macoupin County.
I have to admit, I still don't know where it is.
Yeah.
We're smack dab in the middle of Springfield and St. Louis.
Okay, that helps.
I'm working in rural county. Barbara Levy here I'm with Chestnut, but I'm Livingston and Ford County. So they're rural, and it's definitely a different atmosphere, and from a little bit bigger areas. But McLean County has smaller rural areas too. But this is really nice to be in on and learn from. So
yeah, Bob, sorry, that's a good point, because the ROSC that you're coordinating is a smaller county. So there could be some great collaborative potential there between you and Trisha and Elise and whom else?
I had Trisha and I think
Lindsay.
Lindsay
Minor. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And I would be, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
It's just a little tidbit. I was going to interject earlier when we were talking about new groups, work groups that we're launching. It looks like we're also going to relaunch the spirituality work group too, if that's something people are interested in. It originally combined to become the planning group with some other work groups we had late last year when we were planning our September fundraiser. And then we decided to keep it together through the end of the year. So now that that's done, we're looking at that one going back to its own group as well to help promote multiple paths of spirituality within the community. So with like the other ones, let us know if that's something that interests you, and we'll find a new day and time for that one.
I work for Veterans Treatment Court here in McLean County, but we cover 5 counties. So we cover Livingston, Logan, Ford, Woodford, and McLean County. And so it's a small section, a very, very small section of veterans that are in trouble with the law, and they're usually in trouble with the law because of substances and things like that. But it's kind of why I've got an interest in what you guys are doing here. But and I work here in the courthouse right downtown Bloomington.
That's great. You know, one of the things we needed on this council was veterans representation. So great you're here.
Most definitely. And I think Dell and Barb doing the Livingston and Fort, helping with that. And I saw an email come through, I believe from you, and you are working in the McLean County, but you're saying you also are work with Livingston.
Cover,
and Fort.
yep. And Ford is very rural. It's very hard to find support for veterans out there.
I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah. No, but that would be great. I think I have your information anyway. We should get to connect. So just kind of thank you. That's good information.
Hey, Angie and Dan's Linda, NAACP, and we kind of run the gamut of whatever we needed, especially for those that are underserved and underrepresented. We will be having our monthly meeting this Thursday, and presentations by State Legal Services. I see Cecilia Long is on here, so we're excited about that, and we'll send you that link, Angie, that you can share. Generally, it's just an hour-long meeting, and look forward to anybody who wants to attend.
What time's it at, Linda?
Thursday.
Thursday, what time?
6 o'clock.
Thank you.
6 p.m. And, you know, Toy has been involved in us, and Angie has, so we really like to be a group that can not only educate, but inform.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Cecilia Long. I'm with Prairie State Legal Services. And yeah, thanks everyone for sharing today. I just wanted to share about a few different services. So I work at Prairie State doing cannabis outreach. We're trying to help people get connected with expungement services since cannabis is legal now. We've also been doing a lot of work with eviction court. A lot of people are struggling with evictions right now. But in terms of if you've got clients or folks that you know that might be interested in continuing their education, I also work at Dreams Are Possible, which is a women's training center on the west side of Bloomington. And we're accepting new applicants right now for our spring classes. They're going to be starting next week. So if you've got anyone in transition looking to either work in a lower income job and wanting to transition to a different career, or you know, we've got people of all different ages from, you know, early 20s to 60s. So yeah, if you think of anyone, I'll drop the information in the chat for the email and the phone number to contact. But yeah, we'd love to have some new, and again, it's for women only, or those who identify.
Do you work with Faylee on that?
Yeah, Faylee is a part of our board, and I think one of the co-directors. Yeah, I'm the case manager there, so I oversee a lot of the on-site work that we do.
Excellent. Yeah, she's talked to us about that Dreams Are Possible program. Thank you for being here. Is that Linda, is that a one-off event for the Thursday 6 o'clock, or is that like a recurring event or training?
We have meetings monthly and on third Thursday, so we have different topics.
Okay.
And so this Thursday will be with Prairie State Legal, and again talking about the evictions and the moratoriums and expungement and all those good things that if I only knew questions and solutions. And
okay, that's what I was wondering. A monthly thing then. Thank you.
yeah, it's a month. We just have different presentations.
Okay.
And it's again by Zoom only.
One other thing is we're putting together a calendar for our planned council topics and speakers, educational sessions for this monthly ROSC meeting. So if there are topics that you're passionate about or think would be good, please let Angie and I know, and we can plan. There she goes. She's got it up there right there.
So this is what we'll start posting on Facebook, like under our events page. But Angelica can probably speak more to that because I am not a social media guru. That is why she's our fabulous consultant. And speaking of, if Angelica reaches out to you, because I'm going to give her the ROSC listserv, that she may reach out to you if you want to do a video or vice versa. If she knows the credentials to share your story or share your services or share the services for whomever you're representing. For instance, Dell, whatever services you're, trying to get other veterans involved with, you do a video on our YouTube channel, and we've received great response. It's that, again, that connector. So at any time, if Angelica reaches out to you, it's just from ROSC and try and do social media, seeing if you're interested. I'm just going to remove myself as the middle human and figure that she can coordinate those with whomever and reach out to her as well. Thank you, Cecilia. And I missed you at Heartland when you stopped by a couple of weeks ago. And, I actually, in thinking about the chat thread, and this just came to me, would anyone like me to, I know I did it years ago, but doing like a network of council members to say like who's, pretty much our, our static members, thank you, and who they're associated with and their email. That way, if you want to coordinate between each other, like for instance, Trisha and Barb, you're both in rural areas. So taking a piece of paper, like to hurry up and writing down someone's number. If no one contests to having your name on something like that, please reach out to me. If not, I'm going to assume everyone here is okay with being on comprehensive. It'll have your name, your agency, and an email. I'm not going to put anyone's phone number on there. I'm not going to do that to anyone. So. And that way, and I'll try to do a slight blurb. I did this for the reentry council, very similar, same thing, like services that you could reach out to them for. So just a show of hands, who thinks that would be beneficial? All right, it's done.
Hey, Angie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Tom. And I went ahead and put my email address in the chat again. If anybody's interested in the CRSS or CPRS fundamentals training in February, or the competency trainings that are held in June, July, and August, which are basically full-day trainings, go ahead and feel free to contact me at my email address I just put in the chat. Thanks.
All right, then on that note, expect from me the survey results, the current activity, the second sheet, and then ROSC network that I'll send out to everyone that's on the ROSC Council listserv. And I will be adding Trisha Lewis and I believe Lindsay Minor, and whomever else I do not have on there that's in the chat. Thank you, everyone.
And yeah, I sent you that link. Were you able to get it?
Let me see.
My son's always suspect, so.
Yes, and Linda, oh, wait, I have a question for you. Do you mind staying on, Linda, real quick?
Okay.
Cool.
Hi, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Have a fabulous afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
See you Friday at the Reentry Council. See everyone Friday. Del, I see that question on your face. I'll get you that link to that invite. Del, you'll definitely be on that listserv.
See, I'm very shallow. You can see when I start reading and have questions, I have a horrible poker face.
Oh no, I'm a therapist at heart. I watch body language more than what people say.
Yeah. Hey, real quick before I drop off here, if you got anybody for that art class, they want to start it next Monday is when the first class is. I don't mind you joining, but I would also like to see somebody in your recovery. If you got somebody for that art therapy. Like just, and I don't really know how it'll play out, but what I'm trying to do is basically, I just know good things happen around Carly. So find somebody that's, that will represent you well. What's that?
I will. And did Carly, really quick, did she do her internship at Heartland College?
She did not. I sent her a text and asked her about that. No, she did not. Let's see. She sent me back and said that she went to Milwaukee. Somewhere up in Milwaukee was where she went to grad school.
I got you. Okay.
But she leads art therapy. She's got 4 or 5 different therapists here in town. So she kind of owns the business. And then she's got a place over in the community arts center that's right downtown here too.
Adele, is it like she'll people?
Here, Linda, I'll just reach out to you separately. I don't want to hold you up.
Okay, but you know what? During this conversation, I would like to meet Dale. I haven't met him, and I see he's over the Veterans Treatment Court. So I need to be reaching out to find out more about your program.
Absolutely. I'm very charismatic here on this. Once you see me, then you'll pick me out of a crowd very quick on that, right? It's probably mostly because I get in trouble a lot. But
is she like gonna be, sorry. I just want to know for the art class, is she going to like lead them through, like basically they have the materials and then kind of like Merlot.
So what she did last time, she had a big paper bag and she dropped it off over, she's got a studio over there in the Fox and Hound like hair studio area. Like if you go down to the bottom of that,
that's where the
people just went by and picked up a bag each. She just left them out there for each of the different participants. They picked up their bag and in it had watercolors, acrylics, it had paper, it had brushes, it had all kinds of stuff in there. Pencils, pens, markers. There's more stuff in there than you could use in all the art therapy classes anyway.
Right.
But she gives you freedom to kind of use whatever mediums you want stuff. Then what she does, she gives you, we kind of do an intro class for the first week. She gives you a topic, kind of like they spend maybe 10 minutes kind of showing a thing to do, right? And so, hey, we're gonna do some scribble art today or something. They show how to do it. Then you spend your hour like working on it. And then the last half hour, you kind of talk about what you did for the artwork. But in the middle, while you're working for an hour, people are just kind of discussing what's going on with their different, it's kind of a way to like fidget while you kind of process some of the stuff that's going on in your life. And so she does pretty good with that stuff. And like, let me show you this really quick. Like that's one of the pieces of artwork we did. So, hey, make some lines, scribble, and then fill it out. You don't have to be a great artist to do it.
Like I said,
colors. I did that watercolor. So it's not about art. We actually even have a blind person in there. And so if he can draw.
Yeah, we did something very similar. It was one of Chantel's friends actually was artist. She just volunteered her time and it was over Zoom in the midst of COVID. But we would deliver a kit where I had a canvas where her friend had already done just like a light pencil sketch of what the drawing would be or the painting. And we delivered the brushes, the acrylic paints, the canvas to all the people who signed up. And then she would walk them through it step by step over Zoom. You know, they had all the colors and she'd give like some history, you know, it was really well done and it was really well received. Our last one, we had maybe 40 people. So like I said, it sounds like a similar thing. And we do have a lot of supplies left over, you know, a lot of acrylic paints is what we use primarily.
Yeah. Well, what I want them to do is hopefully you got somebody in the community that knows kind of a little bit about what's going on in the community for your stuff that can kind of represent you very well. But I would like somebody actually going through kind of recovery, somebody that's willing to talk and kind of share. And then a lot of the veterans, they have their spouse or significant other that sit in there with them. She doesn't, we try to include caregivers, you know. So she's pretty open about it, and the group is very comfortable talking with each other, and they've got different backgrounds. So we've got people that have sexual trauma, combat trauma, substance use, different things. And so again, they're not really picky. Like I said, I've got a veteran in there that's 100% blind. And so, his issues, he talks about, like, hey, I could see now. One day I could see it. I woke up one day and I can't see at all. And hey, I've had a bad night of sleep, but I've never had a bad night of sleep so bad that I can't, that I'm permanently blind.
Yeah.
And so they have different issues and they talk through it. And so I'm not too picky about who you send. Just send somebody that's gonna,
I'll
somebody
go
wants to have
meet
fun.
someone to basically who can speak about the ROSC and who's in recovery.
Or just their own journey in the community too. And I think that'll help. What I'm hoping is that helps the veterans kind of see other resources here in the community, but I'm also hoping this helps Carly see what else is out there. And she's been here for 10 years. She may know more about this stuff than I do, but she very likely does. But I just want to connect, just kind of connect some people, because I know that's a healthy way to go. And so Carly does this stuff for us for free. It's not through insurance. It's not for any, and she is a therapist. It's not artwork is always good, but you're getting artwork with therapy at the same time. And it's just amazing process. And I think I sent you the Creative Healing Art Therapy. That's her business. So you can look that up and see kind of what she's done there, but she's got some videos of stuff she's done. Super nice person.
Yeah, I wonder if she'd be open to any kind of collaborations. Dan, I'm sure you find, but if you had the bandwidth, if you could probably, because that's 6 to 8.
Yep, 6 to 8 at night.
Because I know I have class at 7.
Yeah, I'd be willing to go.
Yeah, so you can.
Sorry,
you
6
can
to
arrange your
7:30.
schedule.
6 to 7:30 is what.
Yeah.
But what I don't know how it'll play out, like I said, but I would like to see, so whether she wants to open it up to other people in the future, I don't like, but I think bringing in one person opens up a door for you, and and it'll be good healing for whoever you put in there. But like I said, I think it's a good opportunity. It's just connecting people.
I got a couple guys in mind. One, would you want it to be a veteran if possible, or does that not really matter?
This is open to all veterans.
Okay.
For free. So if it is a veteran, that makes it very easy to get them in the group. But if they're not a veteran, I would like at least, if you got somebody that's a veteran, that makes it easy. That's really easy.
I'm thinking if I can't find someone, I would come if that's cool with you, unless, I'm in recovery. I'm not a veteran, but I have read a lot about U.S. history and military.
You've heard, you played a video game once, right? That's the only qualification.
I saw Saving Private Ryan.
Right there you go. And so we start next Monday. So I just want to make, if we do this, I would like to connect with her probably tomorrow or Thursday at the latest, because she'll need to put together kind of the art kit and get you the confidentiality form and stuff like that. So I need to give her time to prep. But if you want to talk to somebody, and then just kind of let me know maybe by the end of tomorrow or something like that, so we can start.
Okay.
And it was so much fun. So here's how much fun it was. Everyone that went to the last one has re-signed up for this one.
Cool.
So she didn't lose any people. We did a whole session, and everybody that did last time was like, no, I want to do it again. She's very, very good at connecting. And then even like the gentleman that's blind, he was like, it was very funny. He's like, well, I'm not sure about that. And his wife is like, no, Del said you're going. And so he signed up just kind of off of the way I've connected with them. But now that he's at it, he's like, man, this is awesome. He's like, I didn't think I would do very good, but I really like doing this. And my kids love seeing the artwork that I'm doing. And so Carly is so good. She's like, hey, you can draw something, and then your kids can take some glue and trace it, and then they can put some glitter on it. You can actually feel where you've drawn something. Like, she's got so many creative ideas for how to do this stuff.
Well, I cannot wait to hear about it, Dan. Chantel's been waiting to talk to me.
Yeah,
so we're
yeah, I
gonna
was just
meet.
saying, I'll
Yeah.
take it offline with you, Dale. Sounds
All
good.
right,
Thank
yep.
you.
Hey, you've got my cell phone too, so you can reach out to me anytime.
All right, sounds good,
Thank
buddy.
you. I do want to do more about